Oh, man. Oh, deconverted man here. All right. 7 atheist cliches debunked. Why atheism fails to answer life's biggest questions. Oh, good. Here we go.
Some of the most common questions asked by atheists, let's deal with it one by one. For example, what is the evidence that God exists? First of all, the existence of God does not need evidence because belief in God is a basic belief. It
Okay, so the belief of God is a basic belief. That's not something that you could show to be true. You can say it's true all you want, but you would need to demonstrate that that's true. But even if it was true, that still doesn't make that belief true. You still need to prove that there is a God that is a thing. People can believe in anything. That doesn't make that thing real or true. You still have the burden of proof.
is something which is self evident. Fine. Now, belief in God can be wrong. I'm not saying just because majority of people believe in God, therefore God exists. I'm not saying that. What I am saying that since the belief in God is a basic belief, therefore the burden of proof does not fall upon the theist to prove the existence of God.
Oh, no. The burden of proof is still upon you to show that there is a God, and also to show that God is a basic belief. Actually, I think that you would find that people start out not having a belief in God. If you don't teach anybody about God, then nobody knows about God. Now, will somebody come up with a God thing eventually? Maybe, but let's run the experiment. Let's get enough kids together and not teach them about God and see if they believe in God as adults. Now, if you don't have the concept of God anywhere in that society, you don't have the idea, no mentions, no churches, no prayer, no anything, then what are you going to have? You're going to have people that don't believe in God because you never mention the concept. Now, at some point, humans did come up with the concept of God in the past. And some people self generate the idea of God on their own, but they don't call it God because, well, unless they know that word, they wouldn't have that word to call it by. And it takes time to develop into an actual God thing. And that time would be seen over the span of many, many generations, something you couldn't easily observe. But again, with the minor exception of a few of a person or maybe even a group of people that kind of come up with God uh, by storytelling, and that's usually in the see. That's the other thing. If you don't raise the children in a way that is a storytelling tribe, you probably won't get the concept of God going for a long time either, because the concept of God has to come kind of about in a storytelling atmosphere. So if you don't tell people about God when they're a kid, they don't know about God and they don't believe in it. So actually non-belief in God is the default state. And it's only later that you invent the concept of a God depending on the person and or group that you're talking about. And that might be some amount of time before that happens. Like I'm talking years, centuries, millennium, whatever. So this actually just shows that you don't understand history or you don't care about history of humanity and religion and how, yes, religion's been with us a long time, but how was it developed every time? And we can see it's just another change in pre existing religions that existed in that time. So somebody at some point came up with it. But to say that God is a basic belief, you would need to prove that. And you can't, because it seems that the opposite is true. And then even if, and again, you're saying, well, because it's a basic belief, I don't have to prove it. Yes, you still have to prove that there is actually a God, because at best, all you could do would be to show that people believe in God. But not everybody does, because plenty of people don't believe in God. In fact, people are told that there's a God, but still don't believe it anyways. And that sort of negates the idea that it's a basic belief, because how could anyone say, nah, I don't believe that, if it was so basic to believe in it? And kids sometimes say no to God. And young adults and older adults say no to God. How could that be if God was a basic belief? I don't think that you're really understanding what a basic belief is, nor does it negate your burden of proof. You still have to prove that God actually exists, whether or not people believe in it.
Existence of God can be wrong. I'm not saying just because it is a basic belief it has to be right. No, that's not my claim. My claim is that since it's a basic belief, the burden of proof does not lie upon us. Rather, the burden of proof lies upon the atheist.
No, it still relies on upon you. I know you don't want to support your burden of proof because you don't have any evidence for God. You don't have any valid and sound argument for God. You have no test to run on God. You have nothing that shows what God is, how God works, where God is located, what it looks like, etc. What is God? You're just saying the word God. Okay, what do you mean by that? I don't know. How do you know what God is? I don't know. You're just saying God. Okay, whatever. I mean, you might as well say flargle blargle. It makes no comprehensible sense, and you still have the burden of proof.
Who say that there is no evidence for existence of God.
There is no evidence for the existence of God. You already admitted to this. You already said that there isn't evidence because it's just a basic belief. You don't need evidence. You don't need a burden. So there isn't any. If there was evidence, you would give us the evidence of God. That would fulfill your burden of proof. So there isn't any evidence of God.
It's like saying there is no evidence for existence of truth, there is no evidence for existence of justice, there is no evidence for existence of love and all.
Okay, truth, justice, and love. Okay, these are concepts. Well, truth and justice are concepts, and love is an emotion. So I'll deal with each. Truth and justice exist here in your brain and in my brain and in our brain as a collective species, broadly speaking, because not everybody would have that concept. Okay, so if God is like that, then God exists only in your brain and nowhere else. Love is an emotion. It's chemically based and it exists in your head and nowhere else. So if God is like any of these things, then God only exists in your mind and nowhere else. Congratulations, you're now an atheist.
That things, these are basic beliefs which does not need any evidence. These are self.
No, you still need evidence that it is a basic belief. And even if you had that evidence, which you don't, you would still need evidence that that belief is actually a real thing as opposed to just something people believe.
Explanatory things, these are self-evidence concept, and anyone who says the opposite, they have the burden of proof.
No, you still have the burden of proof.
And that's it.
That's it?
Another claim by atheists is that they say
Okay, so that was one. So there's no proof of God, and your counter to that is God's a basic belief, so I don't have to prove God. So there's still no proof of God, but you just kind of went, whatever. People believe in God. That's not evidence that is right, but they just believe in God. So actually, you have the burden of proof. That's not how it works. So that's one. Let's see if the rest of the 6 are anything because that's not a debunk at all. That's failing to uphold your side of it. And so it's just complete utter failure by you. Okay, great.
Extraordinary evidence require extraordinary claim require.
Okay, so this is a saying. Extraordinary evidence requires extraordinary, uh, uh, or extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. That's a saying that Carl Sagan said, and it became kind of popular. It's not an argument. It's just an observation. Okay, and it is broadly speaking applicable, but it isn't something to get hung up on. It isn't something that atheists say per se, but it is something that is reflective of of a truth in our world. You, sir, uh, whose name there's no way I'm going to be able to pronounce at all because I'm not. I don't know. Shabih Nayyer. I don't know. Okay, you owe me $10,000. Okay, that's a claim that I have made. Now, that is a rather non mundane claim, non normal claim. It is rather extraordinary. It's not insane because you could owe me that amount of money, but it is something that you're going to say you need a lot of proof to prove that. You're going to want something to show that you in fact owed me that money. And without that, I'm just saying it. I'm just saying, oh, you owe me money. Who cares? If I said, hey, look, aliens kidnapped you, they erased your mind. I was there. They kidnapped us both, actually. We were in the same spaceship together. And while we were there, you told me that you'd give me $10,000 if I got us out of there. I got us out of there, but while I was doing it, you ran by the brain eraser and you don't remember being on the alien spaceship. That's an extraordinary claim. I would need extraordinary evidence to support that claim. Otherwise, why would you believe it?
Extraordinary evidence. First of all, belief in God or claiming that God exists. First of all, nobody claims that God exists. Everyone believes that God exists. Fine. So
Plenty of people have said that God exists and won't say that they just believe God exists. So you're just wrong about that. But this saying isn't about God, so you're wrong about that too.
belief in God is not an extraordinary claim. It is the most basic and the most ordinary claim present.
So is this your tactic throughout to just say that it's a basic ordinary belief? It's a basic claim. Is that it? So your answer to every cliche is it's just a basic belief. It's just a basic belief. It's just a basic belief. Well, belief that there isn't a God is a basic belief. So you don't need to prove it. It's just true that there isn't a God. Yeah. Okay. And, it's not extraordinary to not believe in God. That's just true. This is nonsense. So your second thing isn't even addressing the statement extraordinary evidence requires extraordinary claim or extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. I keep switching it around. You're not even addressing that. You think this is still about God, and you're just saying, well, God's a basic belief. No, it's not. You still haven't proven that either. But if it's a belief, okay, do you have evidence for it? At all? Any evidence? Let alone extraordinary evidence. Is it an extraordinary claim? Well, it depends what you claim God is. And that would make it potentially extraordinary.
On this face of earth, right? To such an extent that even a person who is well educated and a person who is not at all educated both believe in God. Fine. So it's not a sorry, it's not an extraordinary claim. It is actually an ordinary claim. So ordinary.
Well, it depends, again, what they're claiming God is. The Scientology cult religion says that God is an ancient alien called Xenu who put a volcano into a mountain. That's pretty extraordinary of a claim. They don't have any evidence for it, but it is an extraordinary claim to make.
Claim does not require evidence. Claiming that God does not exist or there is no evidence for the existence of God is an extraordinary claim which actually.
Oh, okay. So your tactic is to just switch again and say, no, no, no. I don't have the extraordinary claim. You have the extraordinary claim. It's just switching the burden of proof again. So you did that with the first cliche, and you're doing it with the second cliche. So you got nothing. There is no evidence for God. That's true. You haven't presented us with any, and instead you're saying, I don't have to prove that there is a God. You don't have to do anything, but there's no reason for me to believe that there's a God. You haven't even told me what God is either. You just said the word God as if I know what the bleep you're talking about. But I go, oh, where's this God thing? What am I looking for? I mean, I don't even know what I'm supposed to be looking for. So there isn't evidence of it. And that there is no God, well, it depends again what you're saying God is. Since I don't even know what God is, I don't believe it. I'm not going to say it's not there, but I'm going to definitely say that you haven't given me any evidence for it. So, what is God? So, if I say, hey, look, this thing is God. Okay, this guy, this is God right here. And you might say, well, no, that's not God. Okay, and for me to say, oh, it's up to you to prove that it's not God. See, that's shifting the burden of proof, isn't it? Because I made the claim. So if you're making the claim that there's a God, whether that claim is or isn't extraordinary, doesn't matter. You still have the burden to bear, and you're just refusing to do so and claiming that saying that there is no God is extraordinary when it really isn't. Because, well, if we don't even know what the bleep God is, then saying that God doesn't exist is kind of like, well, yeah, I don't even know what it is, so might as well not exist. It doesn't matter to me at that point.
Actually requires evidence according to their own logic. Fine. And they also say that so many people, everyone believes in different gods. Fine. And everyone disbelieves in the gods of other religion. So atheists are actually 100% disbelieving in God, and every other believer of
Huh?
God is actually disbelieving in the 99% other gods, which is not true. I think every person on the face of the earth believes in the God in which I believe in, which
Oh, so you just believe that everybody on earth believes in the God that you believe in. Well, that's a nice belief. Can you prove that that's true? Or it's just something you believe? I don't believe in your God. I don't even know what your God is. So I can't believe in it.
is God the creator. Fine. But what is the difference between our belief and the rest of the people? The rest of the people associate partners with God, and we do not associate partners with God. This is the only difference which is made. So all the images of God which they make, they are not God in itself, because God does not have any image.
Finally, we're getting some explanation of what you think God is. God isn't any image. Okay, don't know how you know that, but all right, it's not an image. So there is no thing that I can look at, and that is God. Okay, cool. So there's no evidence of God because there's nothing I could look at and see God.
They are association of God. They are partners of God. So Even the polytheist of Makkah, speaking from an Islamic perspective, they are not a disbeliever of Allah, in a sense that they do not believe that Allah does not exist. They believed in Allah, but the primary reason why they are disbelievers is because they associated partners with God, and when messengers were sent, they disbelieved in the messengers of God. So, since you disbelieve in the messengers of God, therefore they are labeled as kafir or disbelievers or ungrateful, whatever you would like to add. Another thing which they mentioned. Uh, okay, so let's now prove why do I believe in God.
So hold on. You covered two cliches by actually not addressing them at all and just saying, oh, that's a basic belief. I don't have the burden of proof. I don't have the burden of proof. That's a basic belief. Where's the other ones? I don't know. I think I'm bad at math, but you know, you said seven and you did two, and now you're talking about your belief in God. I think you have five left to go. I don't care why you believe in God. It doesn't matter to me. I just want proof that there is a God. And if you don't have that, then I'm still not going to believe in it. But if you're here to tell me about seven atheist cliches that you are going to debunk, cool. You failed at two. I'm waiting for the last five. And if you can't do that, then what the bleep are you doing?
Or why do actually most of the theists believe in God? The reason why I believe in God is that there is no other explanation present in science about.
Okay, so there's no other explanation present in science. This is called the appeal to ignorance. This is, and plus, well, there might be explanations. Oh, there's no other explanation. Therefore, it's God. Oh, okay. This is magic. Because, I mean, I don't know what, I can't, this is an appeal to ignorance. That's it. That's it. That's all that is. You don't know, therefore God. Not a good reason to believe in anything at all because it is a logical fallacy. And the logical fallacy is appeal to ignorance. This is what you are doing right now.
The origin of life and consciousness from something which is non-living and unconscious. If you
Okay, so the origin of life is you would have to study abiogenesis and consciousness, the origin of consciousness. I don't know that that's even a study per se. It'd be hard to pin. I don't know because we'd have to pin down what consciousness is. But if you want to study consciousness, you could study neurology. You could study the brain. Uh, there's things to study about that. So you think that there is no explanation of X and Z. And if there was, well, you wouldn't know about it because you haven't done any research. You haven't read any scientific papers, have you? Come on, have you? I have. I've read a few, not a lot. I've read a few scientific papers, and some are behind paywalls, but there's ways around that if you know how to do it. But I'm just saying, I'm not talking books. I'm talking peer-reviewed papers. They're complicated stuff. They have things in it that I don't necessarily understand. But the things I do understand, it's like, oh yeah, that it all makes sense if you just, try to learn it and understand it. But you're not interested in that. You just decided that science doesn't know X and Z, and so therefore it must be magic. Or, I mean, God. No, it's an appeal to ignorance. And your lack of knowledge in these topics doesn't justify you appealing to ignorance to conclude anything at all, let alone God. So your illogic isn't helping you here.
say that universe is the creator of everything which we see around it. The universe itself is a non-living entity, and it does not have a consciousness. But we have consciousness. We have intelligence, and we are living human beings. Universe cannot explain. Neither does science explain that.
The universe doesn't explain makes no sense as a sentence. Science doesn't explain. Yes, science does explain a lot of it. Maybe not all of it, but sure does explain a ton of it. But you're either ignorant or of those explanations, or you don't care, or both. Now, here's the thing. I think that if science tomorrow came out, there was a news, it went around the world, we understand everything. We got it. We got consciousness solved, and we figured out abiogenesis. Here's 100% proof. You would still never be satisfied with that. You would say, oh, no, that's not right, or God did that, or whatever. You would move the goalposts back because, of course, you would. But again, you're just relying on your own ignorance for your belief. That's not a good reason to believe.
that How the life originated in this
Mm-hmm.
earth. Life, I'm talking about specifically about life and consciousness. How does consciousness uh, originated from matter? Fine. And people assume that science will eventually find it out, but the thing is that since since the advent of science, not even 1 inch of the progress has been done.
Not even an inch of the progress has been done, the ignorant person proclaims, having no idea what has been done in science, because I don't think that he's read a science book or any scientific paper. I don't know. Let me help you here. Google science of consciousness, and I'm pretty sure you're going to get some results. Uh, oh, there's a some sort of composium, the science of consciousness that you could go to. Huh. Okay. There's a conference. Yeah. So then there's Wikipedia on it. Yeah. So what creates consciousness? Here you go. Here's a video I found on YouTube. If you don't want to, you don't want to read a book or whatever, here you go. The name of the video is "What Creates Consciousness." Yeah, I mean, they explain it. They talk about it. They talk about the nature of consciousness, and they go over it. Now, I don't know if they do or don't have a full explanation of it, but why not? I don't know. Try to learn some stuff rather than just say it. See, here they go. This guy's the moderator on the left, and these two are the scientists. And they're talking about stuff, and they're explaining things and whatever. Yada yada yada. And it's 45 minutes and 44 seconds long. And that's a good place to start. It's not the end of the discussion. It's just the tip of the iceberg. But to say that we've made no progress is completely, woefully ignorant. And science is pretty young, all things considered. We humans have only been around for, 100,000 some odd years, something like that. And 100, yeah, 1,000, yeah. I don't know if I said the word right. But science has been around for a lot less longer, maybe, 200 years, broadly speaking, So we don't know what we'll figure out or won't figure out. But it doesn't matter. You're getting hung up on, well, we don't have an answer. We don't have an answer. Okay, that doesn't justify your answer. Oh. There we go.
On determining that how life originated from matter.
Yeah,
The
that's
only explanation
abiogenesis.
possible for this is that life originated because an already living being, an already conscious being, who has no uh, no beginning and no end, who is always eternal.
Okay, I love this. The amount of special pleading that goes into this. First of all, it's the only explanation. So this is an appeal to personal credulity, where you say, I can't believe anything but this." So that's another logical fallacy that you're using there. Is that, well, it can't just do it on its own. I don't understand any of that stuff, but I'm just going to pretend like that can't be, and then say that life is only explained by life. But this life is different than that life. Okay, this life is explained by this life that literally has no explanation for it. There is no explanation of how this life is because it's always existed. It isn't like this life that needs an explanation. It doesn't have any explanation. It just has always been. It's always existed forever and ever. It never came about like this life, so it's very different than this life. How do you know that? You don't. But it's a special exception. This is called special pleading, is the logical fallacy. So every life needs an explanation. Well, except for this life. This life doesn't. This one doesn't. This guy, he doesn't need an explanation for him, but everything else does. This has always just been around forever. Yeah, this has existed forever. You didn't know that? Yeah, he's just existed forever. And I can claim that all I want, but you would need to prove that, wouldn't you? Well, this got made at some point in time. Well, that's you don't know that. It's always been. How else do you explain stuff? Okay. Now, here's another way around this. Okay, time travel. Yeah, time travel. Sure, why not? Might as well. So myself and some other people, we go back in time and we create life on Earth. We do it. Okay, now life has made itself. And you say, well, that's a paradox, or that, would it be technically a bootstrap paradox for those that are interested in time travel paradoxes? Doesn't matter. We've now made life with life. Okay. Now what? Sure, that's an explanation. It's the only explanation. Brr, 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 brr. I can say it's the only explanation all I want. I need to prove that it's an explanation. I need to prove that time travel is possible. I need to prove that I and my friend went back in time. I need to prove that we started life, So you're just saying that there's a life that's always existed forever and it somehow started life. You don't know how it started life, by the way, but it just did it somehow without any proof at all. You got to do better than that. You're not gonna, but
They have created life and they have created consciousness. This is the only logical explanation out there for the origin of life. And that also gives another question, that who created God? Atheists ask usually that who created God? If everything has a creator, then who is the creator of?
All right, so we finally have another cliche. So this is, we're down to 4. So this cliche is who created God? And usually this is a response to everything needs a creator. But then, of course, not this one. This one doesn't. Everything else does. Everything except for this one thing has this rule, okay? Everyone on Earth doesn't owe me money except for you. Now, that could be true. But, again, still no evidence of it. But, I'm waiting for, give me my $10,000, man. And then I'll, actually, you know what? If you pay me enough money, no, I won't sell out. Well, no, yeah.
Creator. First of all, this question itself is contains contradiction, because if a creator needs a creator, then he is not a creator in itself, he is a creation. So
If a creator needs a creator, it's not a creator, it's a creation. Wow. So nobody that makes any stuff on Earth is a creator. I'm not a content creator. I'm a content something. I don't know what the word is anymore, but I'm not. Okay, cool, whatever, nonsense.
if I prove something to be a creation,
Uh-huh.
then I can ask the question that he has a creator. If I say that car is a creation, then I can look for the creator of the car or the manufacturer of the car, whatever you would like to say. If I say that Microsoft is a creation, I can look at the founder or the creator of Microsoft. But once I prove something, if you prove God to be a creation, then we will go and see, look for the creator of God.
I'll save you some time and trouble. Humans. Humans are the creator of God. Humans. Not me, other humans throughout time, backwards in time, okay? We came up with God. We created God. That's the answer. We created God. Not actual God, mind you. We created God in our brain. We made up God. We invented God. We pretended God. We imagined God. We fantasized God. We dreamed God. We created God in the same way that we created Spider-Man or Superman. We created God in the same way that we created Jar Jar Binks. We created God in the same way that the Chronicles of Narnia are a series of books about, well, many things, but Aslan the lion. We made it up. We invented it as a concept that exists in your brain, and that's it. Now, if it's more than that, that'd be great. Cool. But demonstrate that it's more than just a concept in our brain. You can't, you haven't, you won't. Your lack of logic in this video absolutely demonstrates that there is zero possibility that you're ever going to give us any logical reason to think that there's a God, let alone what really God is. You said a creator, that doesn't really tell us anything. You said God wasn't an image, that doesn't tell us anything. You know, your description of God is rather lackluster. Again, my description of God is at least better. Here it is. There you go. I mean, it's red. It looks like a stuffed lobster. You know, there's stuff to talk about with my version of God. But your version of God is, oh, there's nothing to look at. Okay. And you believe in it. Okay, cool. That's nice. Anyways, so this who created God question is, well, nobody created God because God's just always been. Is not an answer. It's not an explanation. So you didn't debunk this atheist cliche, and that's leaving us with 4. And I'm hoping that at some point you're going to debunk something, but so far it hasn't been very good.
But if you cannot prove that God is a creation, let me give you another example. For example, human beings. Fine. One of the most creative species, in fact, the most creative species present on the face of this earth. Even we are not the creator. And how do we know that? We know that from the fact that we have seen the reproductive system, the reproduction process, and even we know the evolution from the theory of evolution present, that we are made from this earth. And even in our mother's womb, we are made from a drop of liquid, and then grows to the fetus, and then it goes to a baby, and then when they come out of the womb, it is grown up to a full grown man.
Well, there you go. The birds and the breeze explained very eloquently by this apologist. Nothing wrong with that explanation. It doesn't lack any nuance or anything. No, it's a perfectly good explanation for babies being born. Anyways.
So we are seeing our own production with our own eyes in today's time. So proving that we ourselves are not the creators, we are just a result of reproduction. Fine. And consciousness and life has been breathed into us. Fine. If the biology does not explain how life is originating.
Biology does not explain how life is originating. Abiogenesis would be what you would need to study for that. Okay? Abiogenesis is the study of what is originating. So go look at abiogenesis and then learn it. Don't just like look up some apologetic website. Like actually like get a couple books on it, read some papers on it. You know, actually try to learn the stuff. I don't know. Just an idea.
And how consciousness is originating in ourselves. So even human beings are it's been proved that it is a creation, not a creator, or not an ultimate creator.
Yes, what Pete himself says. So he's special pleading to explain away special pleading. I can't prove God is a creation, then I can't prove he can't prove the world's a creation, right? It's like God is the creator, and nothing could create the creator, and also the planet. The planet is a creation of the creator. I'm not going to prove any of this, but you know, anyways.
And then we have the universe. As I explained before, that you cannot prove from the universe how life originated and how
you cannot prove from the universe how life originated. That is technically correct. You can't prove from pancakes how life is created either. It's a category error. You're not even in the realm of science anymore. I guess what you mean to say is you don't understand this thing, you don't understand that thing, therefore X. Nothing more than, again, more appeals to ignorance, but that's all you have so far. What number are we on? 4? I'm still waiting. He's almost done with this video. We've still got 4 cliches left, man. You've only got 2 minutes. You better rush through them.
Consciousness originated. So this also proved that universe is also creation. Now I have proved that human beings are creation.
No, you haven't.
The universe is a creation.
No.
Now it is the duty, it is the burden of proof is upon the atheist.
You didn't prove anything. You just said stuff. You didn't prove anything at all. You said that it doesn't offer an explanation. That's not a proof. You said a lot of stuff. It's not even a syllogism, by the way. So looking at this from a logical perspective, you have failed utterly on that level. From an essay style perspective, you had your thesis statement that it's a creation and it was not supported by any supporting paragraphs that made any coherent sense, no citations, no anything. So you fail on that level. On a scientific level, you have utterly failed there because you just don't understand science. So at no point have you proven anything at all. And we still have 4 atheist cliches left. So please get back to not debunking anything.
Atheist to prove that God is also a creation. If atheist can prove that God is a creation, then we will look. We will then search for the creator of God.
Prove that God is a creation. Simple. This is God. I created it. Well, technically speaking, I didn't make this particular plush toy, but I said that this is God. Therefore, it is my creation in that sense. So I have now created a concept of God. So that proves that I made up that version of God. Now that version of God is a creation, and I am the creator of that God. But you said if I'm a creation, then I can't be a creator. So I guess under your view, there's only one creator of everything and nothing else can create at all, which means that we can never find the creator of God because, well, there isn't one. Well, okay, that's nice, but you still haven't proven any of that. Anyways, I'm still waiting.
But according to our understanding, God is the ultimate creator, and
Uh-huh.
ultimate creator does
Okay.
not need a
All
creator.
right. Uh-huh. That's nice.
Microsoft needs Bill Gates as a
Uh-huh.
chairman, or Microsoft has Bill Gates as its chairman, but Bill Gates does not have any other chairman. Who is
What?
the chairman of Bill Gates? That's an absurd question. Nobody is the chairman of Bill Gates. He is the, if you say, the last man standing. So, God, our concept of God is uh, that God is the there's no time and space applied to the God. God is the first.
Oh, okay. So there's no when and no where for your God. I don't understand why theists want to make their God stop existing. So, space. What is space? Now, you might say this in between my hands is space. And yeah, kind of. But space is kind of an abstract idea, okay? So you have three-dimensional axes, right? You have left, right, and up, or something like that, and and these are pointing in different directions, right? Okay, and so you can go this way, or this way, or this way, or this way, and it's called three-dimensional space. And in that space is whatever, anything, everything. But if you have no space, bink, then you don't have a where. There is no where anymore if you don't have space. Time is an interesting concept, and whether it's more than a concept or not is a whole nother discussion. But anyways, time is cool because time is, well, we're experiencing it right now. And well, what happened to then? We missed it because it already passed. So event A happens, and then event B happens, and then event C happens, and event D happens. So if you have no time, that's it. There is no anything. There's no event. There's no A because you don't have time yet. You just, if there is an A, it's just there, right? It's just frozen, and that's it. There's no time. There's never going to be a B because that's it. So if your God is nowhere and also no when, it literally could never do anything because there's nowhere that it exists and no when that it exists. So it's stuck on A and it can't move from there because there's no time. So, congratulations, you have made your God not exist. I don't know why apologists do this. It's not the first time I've heard that God doesn't exist from an apologist. I guess it won't be the last time. But if you define your God as no time and no space, you have defined your God out of existence. Congratulations, you should be an atheist now.
And God is the last. And God necessitates the presence of life and conscious on the face of this earth. And this is something which is much, the belief in God is much stronger than belief in science, because science is dynamic. Even science has its own constant and own fundamentals which will never change. Similarly, religion or the concept of God has their own constant and variables. Fine, something will never change, and that's the fundamental part of religion or science.
It's all coming out.
This video sucked, and there wasn't any argument. Not my video, his video. Bye!